Uthando nokuzikhandla kanye nokusebenza ngokubambisana ikona kanye kuzosiza ekuthenini sikwazi ukulisana negciwane le-coronavirus.
Kila mtu anaweza kubeba virusi hivi vya corona.
Una don't see wetin dey happen for town now. Coronavirus dey kpai people like say no tomorrow.
Social distancing is the new etiquette. Least we never forget.
Dulang Khaye and help
to stop the spread of this virus.
I'm here to plead with you guys, but you know what? Use a mask.
Wash your hands with soap and sanitizer and keep the good spirit.
Make you always wash your hand before you fear.
Dlala indima yakho.
It's not just for you, it's for the next person, ukoko, umkhulu, your uncle.
Healthcare workers stay at home so that they may see their homes too.
Well, as we are facing a pandemic, Galaxy News on StarSat is pledging you to not just to protect yourself, but to protect others and the people you love.
Experience the extraordinary.
I like you, girl, in particular. Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat. Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful!
This is exactly what I was looking for!
DJ Khaled! It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action.
I like it when it's nice and soft.
Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
From rural to urban, we bring you local and international sport.
From Cape to Cairo, from Nairobi to Kinshasa. As we stand out amongst the rest. And we are here to inspire you.
From the Horn of Africa to the Equator's indigenous people.
Galaxy Universal Network. Ngelikisisa ditaba tse felletseng.
Abapenyi bezindaba nezintatheli ezingesabilutho.
Bila woga, upendeleo, hatuogopi chochote.
Channel 500 on StarSat. This is Galaxy Universal Network.
Experience the extraordinary.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Have you lost it? Move! Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
Challenge your ordinary.
Why don't you start a dance class?
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
A very warm welcome and a good morning to Galaxy News on StarSat Channel 500. You're watching Morning Express and I am Vuyo Mgwelo. Let's take a look at your headlines this half an hour. The DPE highlights government's commitment to SAA, and police open investigations after missing toddler found dumped in a waste bag. The EFF leader says he remains committed to helping the poor, while SABC announces a mass retrenchment. In our headlines, the Department of Public Enterprise emphasized its support for Castrap National Flag Carrier, which is South African Airways. This comes as following the publication of the carrier's business rescue plan on June 16th. In a statement, the DPE said the government has the sole shareholder of the SAA, supports the business rescue plan where it results in a viable, sustainable and competitive airline that provides integrated domestic, regional and international flight services. Now, according to the department, this is to resolve the unattainable situation of the current South African Airways, specifically for its employees and its creditors, as well as to support important economic objectives. The department also reiterated the aviation industry in South Africa as it requires the capabilities of SAA that reconstructed and reinvigorated without the legacy burdens, including corruption, poor leadership and unsustainable costs which have beset the South African Airways past. And the South African Broadcasting Corporation has signalled an intention to retrench some of its staff. The public broadcaster said it met with the representatives of organised labour where they were issued a Section 189 notice. SABC said various platforms should be used to shape its financial structural arrangements, adding that details of the facilitation process will be communicated in due course. Hundreds of journalists have been retrenched or temporarily laid off as companies battle under pressure brought on by the effects of the national lockdown to stop the spread of COVID-19. Now, sources close to Broadcasting, Electronic Media and Allied Workers Union said unions got to know about the retrenchments through their members who were served with letters. And Gauteng police have launched a manhunt and investigation into a murder of a toddler in Orange Farm. This according to the Gauteng province spokesperson K. Makubele. At around 6 in the morning, a person collecting a waste noticed the 3-year-old's lifeless body as they alerted the police. Upon their arrival at the scene, police uncovered the toddler's body and had been covered with the stab wounds on her torso. And EFF leader Julius Malema reminded the party's supporters of his commitment to help the destitute and expressed the determination of party's willingness to go the extra mile for the people. In a brief clip posted by the party on Thursday, the EFF commander-in-chief reiterates his long-standing commitment, saying that even those in politics and business can attest that he always seeks to help those who are less fortunate, even without the presence of cameras and statements, because of understanding their pain and suffering. With that said, let's take a look at this video.
I help the poor all my life. I build houses for the poor all my life. I take their children to schools. All of those who live with me in politics and in business, they will tell you that he always searches us to go and help the poor. We do so without cameras. We do so without statements, because we know the pain and the suffering of poor people. I don't read about poverty. I lived poverty. I know what it means to sleep without bread. I don't have to be poor to know where we come from, because I come from there. I can't be the same because I can't be the same. I can't claim to be a working class, but my background allows me to lead the working class because I know the struggles of the working class. That's who I am.
President Cyril Ramaphosa updated Parliament on the national effort to contain the coronavirus, including public health measures, social relief, the economic recovery, and a range of related matters. Ramaphosa said during the question and answer in Parliament that he is of the belief that it won't take long to recover the economic loss due to the novel virus, and that although the full impact of the pandemic remains unknown, the current status is that it is in recovery now.
Took into account the economic and social disruption that has been caused by the lockdown and the devastating impact the lockdown was having on people's incomes and livelihoods. In providing guidance, the Ministerial Committee used the level of community transmission as the basis for determining the state of the pandemic in the country. At that time, the proportion of coronavirus tests that were positive had been consistently low for a long time and had remained in a narrow range of 1.5% to 3.5% for several weeks in all parts of the country, except for in the Western Cape.
Ramaphosa also said that it was imperative that the country approaches the recovery through a balanced strategy that government decided on to spare lives while also preserving their livelihoods, which he said it became a very delicate balance, a balance which had to be struck because in the end nothing could be compromised, the one at the expense of the other.
Consideration was given to the criteria suggested by the World Health Organization for countries to transition from lockdown to reopening of normal social activities. These criteria are, firstly, the disease transition should be under control. Secondly, health systems should be able to detect, test, isolate, and treat every case and trace every contact. Thirdly, hotspot risks should be minimized in vulnerable places. Fourthly, that schools, workplaces, and other essential places should have established preventative measures. And fifthly, that the risk of importing new cases can be managed. And lastly, that communities are fully educated, engaged, empowered to live under a new normal, that is to live with the virus. In an advisory to the minister, the Ministerial Advisory Committee noted that some of the WHO criteria may not be appropriate for South Africa. Unlike several other countries, South Africa deliberately implemented a lockdown early in the progression of the disease as a strategy to delay transmission. I may add here that we were not the only country to immediately implement a lockdown. There were a number of
Now, the president said these comments in response to a question from the ANC MP Lusizo Makhubela Mshele, who had also asked what measures were in place to accelerate the recovery of the economy, as well as how he was coordinating the economic recovery in Africa as the chair of the African Union. Meanwhile, the Democratic Alliance interim leader John Steenhuisen had also squeezed the president on structural reform. Let's take a look and listen.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Mr. President, at the beginning of the pandemic, you asked South Africans to make sacrifices. And South Africans have complied, and this has come at a huge cost. Many have lost their jobs and their businesses that they've spent years building up. However, Mr. President, you and your government have not played your part in the pandemic. by being transparent with how you have made these decisions and the data and modelling that informs them. You've withheld all but the very top-level COVID data from the citizens of this country, including the model which you say you have relied upon to implement the lockdown, the initial lockdown, but then to extend the hardest, longest and most brutal lockdown in the world during this period. Mr. President, why do you believe that citizens who've sacrificed so much do not have the right to this information?
Steenhuisen also asked the president to justify continuous lockdown restrictions, which means that some businesses could not operate during the lockdown, highlighting that transparency was key.
Deputy Speaker, everyone agrees, including your finance minister, Mr. President, that the only sustainable option for the way forward in our economy is through structural reform if we're going to unlock economic growth. In fact, Mr. President, structural reform was the basis on which you campaigned for the presidency of your party and for the country, and yet we stand here in Parliament today, 3 years later, and you've got nothing to show for it. Yesterday we heard we're going to have to spend 33 billion rand bailing out South African Airways to save 1,000 jobs. Mr. President, the question to you is this: will you today make the brave stand and stand with the 3 million South Africans who are going to lose their jobs and oppose the 33 billion rand bailout, or are you going to see that money being poured into the abyss of a state-owned entity like South African Airways, where it could have been used to save the lives and livelihoods of millions of more South Africans?
And the EFF spokesperson Vuyani Pambo also had this to say to the president.
Mr. President, a moment. What's the point of order?
Speaker, just yesterday there was a agreed, position that every speaker must have the approved background of Parliament, and the president seems not to be following in that agreement. I think that it's in order that the president leads by example, puts a background approved by Parliament. Each and every member has been sent background, and there's no excuse the president of the country to be using a background that is obviously political and does not really speak to Parliament. He must not, even though he's at home, he must at least resemble Parliament, as all of us have done. So please, may the president follow the rules as all of us are doing. Thank you.
And we quickly go to a short break. When we come back, Mr. Dumile Mateza joins us as he will be unpacking with us on the matter of the 7 men who are accused of stealing the multi-billion rands from VBS Mutual Bank, one of those country's most widely publicized looting scandals, and have also been granted, the 7 accused have also been granted 100,000 rand bail. But for more of these, we come back as we unpack.
Uthando nokuzikhandla kanye nokusebenza ngokubambisana ikona kanye kuzosiza ekuthenini sikwazi ukulisana negciwane le-coronavirus.
Kila mtu anaweza kubeba virusi hivi vya corona.
I don't see wetin dey happen for town now. Coronavirus dey kpai people like say no tomorrow.
Social distancing is the new etiquette, least we never forget.
Dulang Khaye and help
to stop the spread of this virus.
I'm here to plead with you guys, but you know what? Use a mask.
Wash your hands with soap and sanitizer and keep the good spirit.
Make you always wash your hand before you fine.
Dlala indima yakho.
It's not just for you, it's for the next person, ukoko, umkhulu, your uncle.
Healthcare workers stay at home so that they may see their homes too.
Well, as we are facing a pandemic, Galaxy News on StarSat is pledging you to not just to protect yourself, but to protect others and the people you love.
Experience the extraordinary.
particular.
Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud.
Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat. Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Now, I believe that my peace is my most valuable asset.
Absolutely beautiful! This is exactly what I was looking for!
DJ Khaled! It is a day to celebrate.
We're ready for action.
I like it when it's nice and soft.
Yeah, that is nice.
How was it like growing up in Nigeria? Yes, sir, you know what it is.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
You should just be what you want to be.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
From rural to urban, we bring you local and international sport.
From Cape to Cairo, from Nairobi to Kinshasa. As we stand out amongst the rest. And we are here to inspire you.
From the Horn of Africa to the Equator's indigenous people.
Galaxy Universal Network. Abapenyi bezindaba nezintatheli ezingesabilutho. Bila woga, upendeleo, hatuogopi chochote.
Channel 500 on StarSat. This is Galaxy Universal Network.
Experience the extraordinary.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Have you lost it? Move! Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
Challenge your ordinary.
Why don't you start a dance class?
Experience the extraordinary.
In VBS money. By this time, Schameka Projects has paid 4.3 million in money robbed from VBS into Mahuna Investments. 3 days later, Malema speaks to the EFF SRC meeting at a hotel in Johannesburg. On the same day, the Mahuna Investments bank card paid for a Sandton City shopping spree at Checkers Hyper for close to 300 Rand, Gucci 9,900 Rand, Louis Vuitton for 11,100 Rand, and Total Sports just over 1,000 Rand. When Malema left for Seshego and Polokwane to celebrate Christmas and New Year in his hometown, the Mahuna Investments bank card follows. On the eve of the festive season, Malema spent 13,529 Rand in VBS money on Pick n Pay, Truworths, Edgars, and Spitz in Polokwane. In the first half of 2018, the Mahuna bank card records almost no point-of-sale transactions, but for a 1,887 Rand payment at H&M in Sandton City. This sale is recorded about 5 months after EFF members attacked H&M mannequins.
And welcome back to Morning Express as we bring it to you with the VBS case. When the knowledge of the VBS Mutual Bank robbery spilled into the public domain in October 2018, Brian Shivambu vehemently denied that he received the stolen funds from VBS Mutual Bank. Now, Advocate Teru Montau and law firm Worksman at the behest of Reserve Bank in their investigation reported a report titled The Great Bank Heist accused Shivambu of illegally receiving at least 16.1 million rands in stolen VBS money. Shivambu's explanation for the illicit VBS millions traced to the company he claimed to own, Skamega Project. He worked as a consultant for VBS linked company Vele Investments, and that all the transactions were legitimately earned. Scorpio proved, however, that Skamega Projects had no invoices to show for work done. No paid tax or employees or any other operating costs that stolen from the VBS money constituted the company's sole income. In a follow-up investigation, Scorpios revealed that Economic Freedom Fighter President Julius Malema and the Deputy President Floyd Shivambu were the actual beneficiaries of the account. Now, in reaction, Malema claimed that no VBS money had flowed into EFF coffers, and Shivambu accused this journalist of dubious agendas. They did not, however, challenge in court Scorpio's revelations about how they stole from the poor in their own communities. Now, a never-before-seen WhatsApp discussion between former VBS chair Shifiwa Matonzi and former VBS treasurer Popi Mokudobwane not only again disproves the entire version cooked up by the brothers Shivambu and Malema, but also suggests that a close relationship between Matonzi and the EFF leaders. The brothers Shivambu and Malema did not react to Scorpio's questions. Mukobondwame declined to comment, and Matonzi could not be reached. Now, also joining me on this matter to unpack on Galaxy News is Mr. Dumile Matenza, who will be talking to us about this matter. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We know that there's out of 8, there's 7 men who were accused of stealing these multi-billion rands from VBS Bank. I guess actually it's 2.7 billion rands that was stolen in 2018. They face 47 accounts. Width of them is fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. Now, this case, I think it is very important for the people that have put money into the vendor bank services, even more so that the officials that put money there without the approval of the National Treasury. Now, it gets to the point that these are the ordinary people's hard-earned money that was wasted, and these were also their savings. Now, what reasons did the defense provide in terms of why the accused deserve actually to get bail?
Well, first of all, I think I wouldn't go as far as bringing in Brian Shivambu's name in this case, because he has not been indicted yet. The people who've been indicted are Shifiwa Matonzi, who's accused number 1, followed by Andile Ramabunga, who was the CEO of the Venda Mutual Bank, and Makubudwane, who was the treasurer. Those are the people who are key in this issue. And if you read Advocate Teru Montau's report on this issue, he calls his reports the Great Bank Heist. He likened it to a bank heist that took place in Krugersdorp about 40 years ago. 40 years ago, some person known as Mr. Nightingale, they made a trench under the bank and they got into the vaults of Standard Bank and stole 400,000 rand. And that's why he called it this one, the Great Bank Heist. But in this case, again, what happened was these individuals, led by Shifiwa, was the chairman of Vele, a company called Vele that was owned by the king of Venda. What happened was there's a king advisor, a lawyer by the name of Makabu. Makabu was approached by this man, Shifiwa Matonzi, to get the king into this scheme, because the king, because the kingdom did not have money of its own, so they wanted to create an investment for the company for the king. And Makabu then said he's going to be the person, the contact person. And they created all of these companies. One of them was the Vele Investment Corporation, which was the king was the chairman. And they then transferred money from the Venda Mutual Bank to this company. The Venda Mutual Bank actually was a proper bank. It used to be a bank under the homeland of Venda, like Itala in KwaZulu-Natal. I think in the Ciskei they had something called the Citizen Bank, and in the Transkei they had something called Transkei Bank. Transkei Bank and the Citizen Bank were all banks that were owned partly by ABSA. And in the end, ABSA sold those banks. Those banks were sold. I think Citizen Bank was bought by a group that involved a whole lot of people who then sold it back to Nedbank. That's what happened. In this case, they used this mutual bank to launder money in the sense that they created fake companies that were not there. They created fake accounting processes, and that's why fake directors, and that is why it is called racketeering. Yes. Racketeering is to try and hide money, or money laundering is to use money that you move money from a place, you move it to, you give it to somebody else to keep on your behalf. That's money laundering, and that is why they then, yesterday when they appeared in court, the defense then accepted, first the prosecution made it very clear, if they were going to get bail, prosecution is not going to oppose bail, but the bail must be set at 100,000 rand each.
Because with the 7 accused, we've heard that each of them have their own lawyers, so they each have their own representatives. Now, I think it was Mr. Matodzi or one of the accused was complaining that they cannot afford to pay the bail of the 100,000 rand, so they had asked for the bail to be reduced, or the state, a proposal for the state to reduce the bail money, it goes back now to, if you are taking money from the poor, and then when it's your turn to pay for what you have done to the poor, and then now you're finally getting to see that you cannot afford the money. So how do you think those people that you've taken from can afford? So we think at this stage, we've also seen the investigative journalist, Upoli van Beek, who's been through a lot of scrutiny when she was busy investigating this matter. And I think she's done such a very stellar job when it comes to the investigation and the resilience and the professionalism that she's put into this investigation. But then now there's silence when it comes to the EFF. We're not seeing them coming forward talking also, because there's WhatsApp conversations that have been put out. So bank statements that have been put out that there has been money that went to the EFF president, and also money sent to the EFF deputy president. But then at this time, we're not seeing them at the forefront. As much as we've seen Mr. Julius Malema saying that he is for the poor and he's always standing up for the poor. But then at this time, should you receive money in your bank account, not knowing where it's coming from, and you don't even know why you have this money, shouldn't you be asking questions as a leader?
I think it is important that we should keep a couple of things in mind. First of all, Brian Shibambo has not been indicted yet. So it is premature for us to be speaking about the money that landed up with the EFF. We should concentrate on the people whose names appear on the charge sheet presently. That is Chifiwa Matodzi, Andile Ramabunga, Makobodwane, and Robert Madzonga. Those are the people we should concentrate on. Let's not bring in the EFF when the EFF has not been mentioned in the court papers. It is dangerous to do that. We are preempting something that is not there yet. They might come, probably, who knows, Brian Shibambo might turn out to be state witness. Many of the people, there are about 40 odd people who are involved in this, and many of them might turn out to be state witnesses. The issue of not being able to pay the 100,000 rand, they say they don't have the money. Once you are suspected of doing something wrong in terms of finances, all your bank accounts are frozen. So we have no access to the money that you have stolen, because the bank accounts are frozen. I can believe them when they say they don't have the money to pay, because all bank accounts are frozen. It means they must now go and borrow money to be able to pay the the bail. If they are not able to pay bail, then they will have to be taken into custody.
Now, we know this matter of the VBS Bank started from 2015 to 18, where the people of Malamulele and Limpopo, these are the victims right now at this point. Do you think at this time, as we know that they're given the 100,000 Rand bail, this amount, do you think this amount seems so commensurate with the extent of the crimes that allegedly have been committed?
Bail is given for you to be able to present yourselves in court in future. Bail is not, you're not paying for what you have done. It's only for the court for you to put money down so that when you are supposed to appear in court, you are able to come to court because you have put money down. And that's what bail is for. Yes, the bank was used by the people of Venda to put in their savings because it was a bank they grew up, they knew this bank. It's a bank that they trusted because it was a bank that comes way back from President Mpepu, Patrick Mpepu, who was the president of Venda then. And they put their money in there. They almost lost all their money. But what the Reserve Bank did, when they put the bank under administration, they then requested Nedbank to pay some of the beneficiaries, like the pensioners who put their money into this bank, and that is what Nedbank was able to do. What Nedbank was not able to do was to pay other people who were owed money by the bank, like for instance, paying back the municipalities who deposited money into this bank because they were coerced to put in money into the bank so that the bank could look as if it is liquid when it was not.
Now, before I let you go, Mr. Mateza, several top VBS insiders, including the board members and the chief of KPMG auditor for the bank, has also been reported to be arrested. Now, it seems as there's high people involved in this whole looting matter or saga, if I put it that way. What does that mean now? As because I would love to think that the Limpompian people were so happy to finally have, a black bank that you can take your money to, because we're trying to build everything for.
It's nothing like a black bank. The Venda Mutual Bank was never a black bank. The Venda Mutual Bank used to belong to the Venda homeland government. And how it got into private hands, I don't know. Probably Treasurer will be able to tell us that. Going back to what you raised around the people who have been arrested. For the first time in many years, when the NPA arrests people, it doesn't go for the low-hanging fruits. In other words, when you arrest people who are involved in a scam, you arrest the people who you are able to pick up in the street, the runners. This time, they worked this case so well, and they arrested the top dogs. There are two gentlemen, Mr. Nesagani and another one, who were actually on the board of the bank representing PIC, the Public Investment Corporation. Mr. Mabala, who used to work for KPMG, was the accountant who was the external accountant from KPMG, who was asked to keep quiet about what was going on, and then he was paid for that. And then Mr. Matodzi was the chairman, Mr. Ramabunga Andile was the CEO, Mr. Makubudwana was the treasury. So all the top guys have been arrested. Now they are going to go to the other smaller people who are going to be brought in. Either some of them, like for instance the CFO of one of the municipalities, Capricorn District Municipality, who was suspended, she might probably turn state witness. And a whole lot of other people who have been mentioned in that report might turn state witness. And this is why I am saying, let us talk about the people who have been indicted, so that you don't bring in people who have not been, because they might not be indicted, because they might turn state witness.
Speaking now of the municipality, who has been who actually was.
It's only one. There are several of them.
There's several of them, but she had been at that point where she was fired, should I say, in that way.
So
Suspended, and then she was moved from another municipality to another municipality to be the municipality manager. But then, how does that work? Do you think? Even with that, it was a planned strategy.
Well, it was
those movements.
Apparently, this municipality got a new mayor, and the new mayor came in, and the mayor said, Mr. Kganyago came in, and Gilbert Kganyago said the money will be transferred to the bank. It doesn't matter what the lady was CFO was saying. She was saying it is against treasury regulation for municipalities to bank with a mutual bank. And she was suspended for that, but apparently she was suspended for something completely different and not necessarily for refusing. But there were other entities that were drawn into bank with this bank. One of them was PRASA. PRASA was supposed to have put in R1 million into the bank. And a whole of other municipalities, even Mafikeng municipality, Madibeng municipality, even municipalities in Gauteng were asked to put in money into this bank. We'll talk about why they were asked and why they did advance that money to the bank later when the facts come through. I don't want to preempt what the court might say.
Now, the NPA spokesperson promised that justice will be served and that they are ready for trial. Do you think that we can hope for the best when it comes with this matter and also these investigations?
You know, investigations of this nature and trials of this nature are very tricky and are very cumbersome. This trial might go on for the best part of 3 months, to be exact, but it might, because nobody's going to just accept and say, yes, I did this and that and that. But there's so much evidence, and the evidence has been mounting. The report of Terry Mutau was good enough, many people are saying, for them to be arrested from the beginning. But then the NPA and the Hawks decided they are going to do a joint investigation where the investigating team will be joined by prosecutors who will be saying, if you do this, it will be against the law, do it this way. They were going to guide the investigating team as to how this will be done. It's not normally in South Africa that happens, that the investigating team works with prosecutors. It is something that's done mostly in Europe. They do that very well in places like Italy. That's how they were able to crack all the mafias in Italy. They worked with the prosecuting team was working with the police. And we might see this case will be a groundbreaking case in this whole issue of corruption in this country.
Well, Mr. Mateza, thank you so much for that insight. We're definitely going to keep on calling you in as this matter will escalate. Well,
a lot of reading for me.
A lot of reading for you and a lot of information that you're going to be bringing us as these days. I really feel like it's going to be a long next coming 6 months or 5 months or so. But we hope that a good outcome will come out of this case. As we know that this matter is postponed until. But other than that, this is that was Mr. Dumile Mateza giving us that information with regards to this matter. As we know that several top VBS insiders, including the board members and the chief KPMG auditor for the banks, have also been reportedly arrested, with 7 of the accused been arrested, or rather charged for fraud and also money laundering. For myself, as this is Morning Express, I am going to leave you with Mr. Dumile Mateza again, as he's going to bring you the Galaxy Sports right here on Channel 500 on StarSat. From myself, Yolo Tumgwelo, I'll see you again.
Uthando nokuzikhandla kanye nokusebenza ngokubambisana ikona kanye kuzosiza ekuthenini sikwazi ukulisana negciwane le-coronavirus.
Kila mtu anaweza kubeba virusi hivi vya corona.
Una don't see wetin dey happen for town now. Coronavirus dey kpai people like say no tomorrow. Social distancing is the new etiquette, least we never forget.
Dulang Khaye and help
to stop the spread of this virus.
I'm here to plead with you guys, but you know what? Use a mask.
Wash your hands with soap and sanitizer and keep the good spirit.
Make you always wash your hand before you fear.
Dlala indima yakho.
It's not just for you, it's for the next person, ugogo, umkhulu, your uncle.
Healthcare workers stay at home so that they may see their homes too.
Well, as we are facing a pandemic, Galaxy News on StarSat is pledging you to not just to protect yourself, but to protect others and the people you love.
Experience the extraordinary.
I like you, girl, in particular.
Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud.
Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
Welcome back to Galaxy Sport. My name is Dumila Matez and good morning. We start with football. Premier Soccer League chairman Irvin Khoza has revealed that they are in discussions over a new sponsor after ABSA decided against renewing their deal. The major bank company has enjoyed a 16-year relationship with football in South Africa, 13 of which since 2007 have been a sponsor of the ABSA Premiership. But Khoza says that the organization has already lined up a number of potential new sponsors, although they are primarily focused on restarting the 2019-2020 season. Khoza told media, "We've got 4 companies at the moment who want to sponsor the league. The economy is not in a healthy state, but we are trying to find the best ways to position our proposal." The Bidvest Group is reportedly one of the companies linked with becoming the PSL's newest head sponsor starting next season. Bidvest, a South African service trading and distribution company, is currently the sponsor of ABSA Premiership side Bidvest Wits, which is also going out, but they have since sold the club's top flight status to Chakuma Chama Dzibandila Football Club. The Clever Boys, who are due to celebrate their 100th anniversary next season, have been founded in 1921. With TTM replacing Wits next season in the top flight of SA football, it opens the door for Bidvest to sponsor the Premiership if the reports can be trusted. Meanwhile, there appears to be uncertainty over whether Telkom will or won't extend its sponsorship deal with the PSL beyond 2019 and 2020. Telkom is currently the head sponsor of the Telkom Knockout and has been involved with PSL since 2006. According to the PSL's latest annual financial report, Telkom spent in excess of 57 million rand per year during its involvement in the knockout tournament. The soccer website reported that last season, Telkom Knockout was the last edition that the telecommunications provider would be sponsoring the tournament. Cricket South Africa is in turmoil as Cricket South Africa's president, Chris Nenzani, addressed the media via a video stream on Tuesday. He acknowledged that the organization was facing a crisis in December last year when CEO Thabang Moero was suspended. The investigation to that suspension is still ongoing, and Nenzani and the CSA leadership is under its own significant pressure. It's also under significant pressure to find a resolution in that matter. But on Tuesday, Nenzani was asked about how things were allowed to develop to this point. In September 2017, CEO Harun Logat parted ways with the organization. His handling of the T20 Global League South African cricket's desired T20 product that had secured lucrative investment from all around the world in the form of franchise owners and sponsors was identified as a contributing factor by the CSA at the time. The absence of a broadcasting deal had been an issue facing the Logart-led administration. CSA claimed that there had been a significant breakdown in between Logart and the board, and Logart's departure opened the door for Mure, who was named as the acting CEO of CSA shortly afterwards. Mure would be named permanent CEO in July 2018, but he was suspended in December last year on allegations of misconduct. A series of controversial developments then transpired under Mure's tenure, from the suspension of key CSA officials to removing the media accreditation of 5 South African cricket journalists. When Standard Bank pulled its sponsorship of the national men's team, alarm bells were ringing, and it all resulted in Mure's suspension. On Tuesday, Nenzani was asked if the beginning of the crisis could be directly related to the departure of Logart. He did not think so. One of the major issues facing the MSL, as was the case with the T20 Global League, was the absence of a lucrative broadcast deal. Under Mure, the MSL rights were eventually given to the free-to-air SABC for 2018 and again in 2019 after negotiations with SuperSport broke down. According to Nenzani, that was a decision that made commercial sense for the tournament. Under the leadership of the current CEO, acting CEO and Director of Cricket Graham Smith, CSA are understood to be in advanced discussion with SuperSport over the broadcasting of the 2020 MSL, which is likely to take place in December. Kagiso Rabada, a skipper in the Solidarity Cup, provides an intriguing opportunity. He's been the spearhead of the Proteas attack for some time, yet Kagiso Rabada suitably as a captain has never really been seriously discussed previously. The 25-year-old Quick is the Kingfishers captain in CSA Solidarity Cup, could thus provide some very interesting insights in terms of his leadership abilities. Rabada himself is coy over his role, but is nonetheless keen to step his authority on some tactics. Kagiso Rabada has been the leader of the Proteas attack for the best part of 4 years, but his more generic leadership credentials have never really been discussed. That is why his appointment as the Kingfishers captain for Cricket South Africa's Team Cricket Solidarity Cup at the end of the month is rather intriguing. The 25-year-old Quick, still ranked 5th in the ICC Test Bowlers rankings despite a tough international season, has certainly influenced that dynamic by consistently steering away from talk in that direction. In fact, Rabada is a man of few words when he talks in public, though there have been enough glimpses in the past of some keen insights. In other words, even though all 24 players involved on the day start on a blank page in terms of learning the subtleties of the 3 Solidarity Cup games, Rabada certainly wants to stamp his own authority on tactics that need to be used. And that's not a bad thing. South African cricket can benefit from getting some indication as to how Rabada tries to outthink teams instead of just the world's best specimen. But it also won't be a one-man show. On-field shepherding won't be the only thing Rabada will have to get used to, but also curbing the infamous wicket celebrations. Thankfully, it won't be because of authorities keeping an eye on him, rather because of social distancing protocols. Professionals and players at national and provincial level will be allowed to return to action in tennis in South Africa. The sport's governing body is, however, still waiting clarification regarding the commencement of social tennis club members. Tennis South Africa has welcomed government's decision to allow a return to action for the sport. Tennis players and coaches have been prohibited from taking the court to the courts since the COVID-19 lockdown in March. But President Cyril Ramaphosa's address to the nation on Wednesday night brought some welcome relief. Ramaphosa confirmed the easing of restrictions for several non-contact sports, including tennis, under Alert Level 3 of the National Risk Adjusted Strategy. Via a press statement released on Thursday, TSA, that is Tennis South Africa, said the return to action would commence on a staggered basis, with the following players with the following players and their coaches now allowed to return to training: ATP, WTA and ITF players training and preparing for national championships, any players in the national, provincial, district or private academy squad, subject to the squad being recognized by TSA and the relevant province or district. Any player training for official district or provincial club leagues. The governing body added that stringent safety measures have been put in place to ensure compliance with national government protocols, and players, coaches and facilities will need to first align with these in order to officially return to the courts. TSA on Wednesday said it had sent out communications to provinces, coaches, clubs and registered players providing more information on this matter. That's the sport for now. Please join us again tomorrow when we'll be talking the cricket story. We'll also be talking to the CEO of Golf RSA about what golf is going to do going forward, and also the 1.5 million they collected for the caddies, and we'll be hearing from Mr. Grant Herburn, the CEO of Golf RSA. We'll also be talking the issues of cricket and transformation with Dr. Willie Besson here on Galaxy Sport. From me, Dumila Mateza, good morning.